You're watching Good Day Columbus on Fox 28.
You know, not every week needs a celebration, but this one, I say thumbs up. It's American Craft Beer Week. You can celebrate, of course, anytime. You can make your own beer at home, which has become really quite a thing.
You know, it's becoming more and more popular to do that. Brian Huntley is with us this morning with everything you need to get started on a brand new hobby that you can enjoy for years or even by the night.
By the night.
So, good morning.
Good morning.
How long have you been doing this, first of all?
I've been doing it since about 7 or 8 years now.
You were kind of leading the pack then.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's not that this hasn't been going on for hundreds of years,
You're
but
right.
the homebrew thing is really popular now.
It really has taken off in the U.S. I mean, all across the country. I mean, I know 10, 12 years ago, it was so hard to find ingredients, so hard to find any information about it. I mean, it was almost like a little cult club, but now it's so open, so... You know, everyone is willing to help you. I mean, there's clubs, you know, locally. We've got SODS,
right,
which is a club locally, and I mean, all the members there are great. You know,
so if you need advice, there are people to go to help you get started. Well, let's talk about what's on the table here, because if we want to get started in the hobby, there are a few things you've got to have.
Exactly. You need a kettle.
Right.
Something, you don't have to have a huge kettle. You can boil as little as like 3 or 4 gallons of water, and then just come to your volume later in your fermentation vessel.
In basic terms, what are we doing here? We're putting some water and some, what, hops?
Some water, and we're going to put in some malt extract. Generally, for a beginner, you're going to go with a malt extract, so you don't have to have a ton of equipment.
And what is that?
What it is, basically, they take a grain that's been malted and mashed, which is basically converting the starches to sugars. And then they do a spray drying process where it actually is sprayed in a column and it's dried into a powder, or they turn it into a syrup by boiling it down.
And that goes in here?
That goes in here with your water.
Okay.
Then you're going to put your hops in, which your hops actually do 2 different things. They actually...
What do hops actually look like?
We can open one of these.
You don't have to open.
No, I'll open it up.
Do they look like a grain type?
Well, there's 2 different types. There's a pellet hop, and then this is what it looks like from the vine itself.
Huh.
And then there's also
beer out of that?
Yeah, smell them too. They smell really great.
Wow.
And then there also is the pellet type. If I can get the package open.
So once those have been in here, you're going to heat them up. You're going to bring it to a boil, cool it down again.
And this is the pellet.
That's the pellet type.
Smells like little rabbit food.
Yeah.
It kind of smells that way too, actually.
Huh,
absolutely.
Once you cool it down, then we move to a whole new container. What is this?
This is your fermentation vessel. This is where you put the yeast in there. And you know, brewers, we don't make beer. Yeast makes beer.
Yeast makes beer.
So, you know, it's one of those things where you're going to sprinkle your yeast over it. It's going to turn the sugars in the wort, which is your unfermented beer, into alcohol.
So just like when the yeast gets into your bread and it converts some of that sugar and makes it rise, it's doing the same thing in here.
Exactly.
Okay. So once you put that in there, it sits in there for how long?
Depending on the variety and the temperatures and that sort of thing, probably about 7 to 10 days is a good gauge of how long it's going to be in there. This is an airlock, so it lets the CO2, which is a byproduct of fermentation, escape.
Okay.
And it also keeps bacteria, bugs, everything else from getting in there.
Bubbles away for a while.
Exactly. You know how that goes.
All right. So once it does that, then 7 to 10 days later,
you're ready?
You're ready to transfer it over into a bottling bucket, or a bucket where you can use a racking cane, much like what you have over there.
Kind of like this.
Yep. And then you can actually take this device, which is a bottling wand, and you're actually going to put the bottling wand into here and fill up the bottle until it gets to the top. You pull it out, and then it's got just the right amount of headspace in the top.
Make it stop where you want.
Exactly.
All right, so now you brought a gadget that actually is how you put the cap on one of these things.
Correct. So this is a bottling cap, and this is something that would come in a beginner's kit. They make, you know, standing ones and other type, but this is a capper, and you're going to put it down on there. You're going to push down on it.
And that's it.
And voila.
And you've got what looks for all the world like a professional bottle of beer.
Absolutely.
Your very own recipe. Now this one you've made, right?
Correct.
Let's open that baby up. Where's... we don't have anything to open.
I just so happen to have one.
Wait, do you? Of course you do.
Oh,
Yes. Did you see that?
That's my wedding ring.
Your wedding ring?
Nice. Now that's a professional right there.
I bet your wife is really happy about that.
She is absolutely happy.
Professional right there.
Oh, golly.
Try that.
So what's the alcohol content in this?
This is about between 8 and 9%. I actually made it the day after Christmas. Like every year, I usually take off the time around Christmas, and I made it the day after Christmas. And it's one that's a little bit harder to make because of the fact when alcohol.
The maple in there.
Well, no, that's not the maple ale.
That's delicious. And
it.
I'm not a big fan of anything that's you can't see
You're just
through.
tasting the malts.
I drink
and
really
some of the
weak
hops in
beer,
there.
but
That's
this
incredible.
This is really delicious.
And you made that at home.
I did make it at home.
Brilliant. We had some ginger beer too. We'll tell you about that some other time.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Brian, thanks
I'm
very much.
impressed.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
I'll be
It's
putting
great
in an
stuff.
order after the show.
We'll expect a 12-pack in about a month.
That's right. Thanks so much. Here's a question. Are your Mother's Day flowers dead already?
Probably. Coming up, some quick tips to make those last longer, as also some other simple tricks that you can help stretch your dollar. Heloise is going to be here in just a little bit.
Yeah.